Welcome back, friends. James Corbett here, corbettreport.com. And today I wanted to come to you to debunk a piece of disinformation that I'm seeing bandied about in conspiracy circles that, if we are not careful about, could undermine and discredit a lot of the diligent work that people like myself and others are doing to draw attention to certain nefarious agendas. And I'm referring specifically to a video that I'm sure many of you have seen by now that purports to be video of a presentation that was made in the basement of the Pentagon by Bill Gates to the CIA?
So over here we have individuals who are not particularly fundamentalist, not particularly religious, and you can see there's a much reduced expression of this particular gene, the VMAT2 gene. Another evidence that supports our hypothesis for the development of this approach.
What you see here is that by spreading this virus, we're going to eliminate individuals from donning on a bomb vest and going into a market and blowing up the market.
So our hypothesis is that these are fanatical people, that they have overexpression of the VMAT2 gene, and that by vaccinating them against this, we'll eliminate this behavior.
Oh my God. Big if true, as the meme says, and I'm sure you'll agree this is startling, amazing stuff, which is why people are right now hurriedly forwarding this video on to everyone they know. Oh my God, have you seen this Bill Gates lecture to the CIA? I knew they were up to this. One problem with that, this is not Bill Gates, this is not a real lecture, this is a hoax video that's been circulating for 9 years. So let's delve into some of the details. Now, there are many versions of this video that are circulating on all the various social media platforms right now, but the ones that are circulating recently tend to be vastly downgraded in quality and quite blurry, potentially on purpose to make people squint and believe, that might be Bill Gates, is that Bill Gates? We'll go to the original version of this video posted to Joey Lombardi's YouTube channel on June 1st, 2011, precisely 9 years ago to the day since from the time I'm recording this video. And you will see, if you watch in 720p HD, you will see that is not Bill Gates. Not even close. If you honestly still think that is Bill Gates, you genuinely might need your eyes examined or might need to check for possible face blindness, because there is no way that is Bill Gates. It is not. And as someone who has just put himself through the excruciating displeasure of watching and listening to dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of hours of Bill Gates interviews and lectures, trust me, that Kermit the Frog voice has been seared into my consciousness. That is not Bill Gates. In fact, it is not even purported to be Bill Gates, because again, as anyone who has done any due diligence or even the slightest bit of research about what is this video and where did it come from before they began forwarding it on to everyone they know would know, when this video first appeared in 2011, there was no insinuation, no implication. This was not purported to be Bill Gates. It was never stated that this was Bill Gates. That is something that has been tacked on in recent months for obvious reasons, because of course Bill Gates and vaccination is now in the public consciousness, so who's that? It's probably Bill Gates. Has become the way that people are forwarding this on. But as I say, not even the original filmmakers purported this to be Bill Gates. In fact, if you actually do a little bit of due diligence, a little bit of research, you will find that there is a YouTube channel that was created for the FunVax documentary project, which was part of what this video release was about. We'll get more into the details of that in a moment, but from that YouTube channel of the FunVax documentary, you can find a video called Is FunVax Possible? Dean Hamer and FunVax Scientist Discuss, which does have a sit-down, face-on interview with the person in that video, who is clearly, both audio and visual, is the person who was in that presentation and is not Bill Gates.
So if somebody asked me to design a vaccine for religious fundamentalism or fanaticism, basically what I would do is to try to better understand why people are fanatical. Why do they have extreme behavior? it's pretty clear these days that all behavior results from activity of our own brains, and so there must be pathways that are important in generating this kind of behavior.
So, yes, no, that is not Bill Gates, nor was it ever purported to be Bill Gates. So, now that you know that you are being specifically lied to by the people who are passing this around as this is Bill Gates, that should at the very least set off a little bit of alarm bell. Is this disinformation that is being sown in the conspiracy space? Never. Yes. So let's examine what else can we see? What else can we identify directly about this video? We don't have to turn to any other sources. We can see it directly for ourselves. And it certainly helps if you have an audiovisual production background, because as someone who has been working with audiovisual media for over a decade now, there are certain things that jump out at me immediately upon viewing this. In fact, I did see this video those 9 years ago when it first appeared. It did make some waves at that time, but then it quickly went away because there was not much there. And at the time, I looked at the video, saw it was fake, and moved on. But now that everybody is forwarding it again, I think this needs to be dealt with firmly. For reasons that we'll go into in more detail later. But let's see just what we can see about this video. For example, at 1 minute and 2 seconds of this video, there is a zoom that is not an optical zoom. This is not happening in the camera. This is a post-production zoom. Very evidently so. Again, for anyone who has dealt with post-production, you can see that is a post-production zoom that was digitally inserted in post-production for whatever reason. So I guess the Pentagon, or is it the CIA? Yeah, again, this is a CIA lecture, but this is in the Pentagon. Well, anyway, the Pentagon post-production managers of this lecture have decided to add a zoom into the into the slide that's being displayed at that precise moment. For what purpose? Well, whatever the purpose, it does say a couple of things. One of which is that the timestamp and the Pentroom B232 at the top are added in after in post-production. They are not part of the image itself, which, again, is interesting because, again, depending what is the source of this video, where are we saying this comes from? Because clearly it's been edited after the fact in some manner. And, of course, when it does zoom in, it does take your the visual away from the person's mouth, where it's more difficult to see if the audio is actually in sync with the video. But there are other moments at which the video is clearly, at the very least, not in sync with the audio. It's, I think, very likely, almost certain that this audio has been inserted over top of this video later. But at any rate, you can go, for example, go to 3 minutes and 30 seconds or so, where he's talking about respiratory viruses such as flu or rhinoviruses, and we believe that that's the satisfactory way to get the exposure. Watch his mouth at that point. Clearly, what is being said is not what you are hearing. There is something else being said at that point, and in various other points of the video. I think it's just particularly apparent there. But clearly, the audio is at the very least not in sync with the video. But I think it has been inserted later precisely because there are the interjections from the audience at various points, and they do generally make at least some attempt at something approaching audio fidelity there, because, again, as people who don't know and don't work with audio probably have no idea about this, but yes, there is no way that the presenter's voice is 100% crystal clear, no room echo, no nothing. It is directly going into a microphone, so we can imagine maybe he's wearing some sort of lav mic that's not particularly evident in the video. It is zoomed out very far. Maybe you just can't see the lav mic that he's clearly wearing in order to pick up the audio to that degree of clarity. But then you also hear the questions from the audience in not particularly raised voice. They're not shouting, just slightly raised voice. But you can hear it. There's at least some room echo there, so it sounds like it could, well, so maybe they've just boosted the lav mic that's clearly picking up this audio, or maybe they're switching to some sort of external mic that was on the camera or in somewhere else around the room that's picking up that audio echo. I guess. But it doesn't seem particularly likely. But at 3 minutes and 4 seconds, someone enters in from out of frame and whispers to the person in the back row, whispers, and you can hear it like cartoon sitcom whispers. It's just self-evident nonsense. Where is the microphone that is picking up the whispers that are at the same level? No room echo, no nothing. You could hear the whispers crystal clear in the same way you can hear the presenter that's speaking. Again, this is audio that has been faked, which is particularly perplexing because clearly the documentary filmmaker behind this documentary footage, this movie that was being produced, clearly has access to the actor who is playing that scientist down on the floor. They do a sit-down interview with him for the documentary. So they clearly have this actor with his own voice. Why wouldn't they just actually play the... Anyway, for whatever reason, I guess the audio from their lecture didn't come across well enough, or they didn't follow the script well enough, whatever it is, they've inserted audio after the fact. Just bizarre. But then, take it to another level, as has been pointed out in the debunkery realm, which... again, which is why this is such an own goal for people who are spreading this and want to adhere to some semblance of truth. You are handing the debunkers and fact-checkers a gift on a golden platter when you take this nonsense seriously, because, as has been pointed out, for example, Metabunk, Mick West over at Metabunk, who is no friend to 9/11 Truth or many of the other things that we talk about here on the Corbett Report, but when the debunkers are right, they're right. And this presentation involves the presentation of a slide showing a religious brain versus a non-religious brain, which is in fact the exact same image of the exact same brain that has been photoshopped with some colors in different parts of the brain to show, allegedly to show how these different brains, a religious brain versus a non-religious brain, how is that determined exactly? So self-identified, I guess, at what they look like. But it is the same image of the same brain that, interestingly enough, for this 2005 lecture, well, that's what the timestamp says at the bottom, the digitally inserted post-production timestamp that says at the bottom, it must be 2005, right? Well, interesting then that precise image of that precise brain comes from a 2010 article in the Journal of Neurology, which, again, you can find online, and they've just photoshopped some colors on top of it to show two different brains. Again, just bizarre nonsense on top of nonsense. If, and only if, you take the time to look into absolutely any of it. If you just see this video and just take everything you see at 100% face value and everything you hear at 100% face value, I guess there's nothing to worry about. But let's not do that, shall we? Let's actually examine this. So the real question is, okay, so where did this video even purport to come from? And this video, once you start to delve into it, was purportedly leaked by someone named Joey Lombardi, who is, again, purportedly worked for Combat Camera, which, when you look into it, has something to do with the Defense Information School. Specifically, the U.S. Marine Corps has an outlet of this. And supposedly this is a leaker, a whistleblower from the Combat Camera crew who was leaking this video, and at the same time, a quarterly FunVax review, the document itself that was purportedly leaked along with this video, which brings with it a slew of other questions, including where this document was supposed to be published in the first place. What is this? Is this a Pentagon document? There's absolutely no markings or classification or absolutely any sort of markings that you would expect on, or that I've seen on every other Department of Defense document I've ever looked at. It's, I guess, quasi some sort of scientific type of report. It has a sort of appendix at the end with Johns Hopkins University and other scientific information, but it is certainly written as if it's supposed to be some sort of briefing for the Pentagon about this God gene vaccine and how they're going to vaccinate against fundamentalism. But again, it doesn't contain any of the markings that I've ever seen on absolutely any other document that has ever come out, leaked or otherwise, from the Pentagon or any other U.S. governmental agency. So that's unsure. The typeface is clearly computer, but designed to look as if this was some sort of typewritten document or printed out document with crudely scratched out blackened out areas, which is, again, not like any of the redactions I've ever seen on any other government document that's ever been released, leaked or otherwise. The font at the bottom of the pagination, 2 of 33 of 34 of 30, again, looks nothing like any of the other font, and is clearly a, Word, MS Word kind of font. So, again, so many questions about even just the physicality of this document, let alone where it came from, how it was purported to be leaked by this combat camera guy, I guess. Who is Joey Lombardi? Apparently he was arrested in Argentina in 2012. Okay, I guess we'll never hear about that again. And all of this swirls around a documentary called FunVax, which was going to be released, that was presumably centering around this leaked video, this leaked presentation, and was going to have follow-up interviews with the actor who's playing the scientist in that video, and with Noam Chomsky and others, which again purports to bring some sort of level of, oh, this is credibility. Noam Chomsky's being interviewed for this. Well, of course, in the interview, at least the excerpt that they show in the 2-minute preview of FunVax that they released does not show Noam Chomsky talking at all about this vaccine or this purportedly leaked video. No, he's talking about the idea of religion and religiosity generally, of course, because it's remarkably easy to get an interview with Noam Chomsky, and you just have to say, well, it's about religion, and he'll give you an interview. So again, all of this is just such amateurish nonsense, but it all swirls around this Kickstarter that was started for this FunVax documentary project that was going to be released, guys. We're going to release it. We just need $10,000 in order to raise enough funds to release this documentary. And the Kickstarter was set for December 19th, 2012. It didn't reach its funding, so it didn't go ahead. And that was more or less the last that we heard about this documentary project. As I say, there was some previews released of the FunVax documentary with some of these interviews and stuff, but very, very, very much nothing of any substance that would add to any of this. So as you can imagine, again, this has been circulating around for 9 years. It was never purported to be Bill Gates until just recently, but it has, of course, been debunked before by the professional debunkers, including, of course, Snopes, that ran their debunk back in January of 2015. As I say, Mick West of Metabunk was on it well before that fact, back in 2012. There's, again, so much that has already been done. Even just the little details, like the digitally inserted post-production timestamp marker at the top and bottom of the screen, which again was not part of the original image. Location, Pentagon, RM room, BC232. Even those little details, whoever hoaxed this video into existence didn't seem to do any of their basic research on it. For example, the Free Republic was talking about this video back when it was released in 2011, and one of the commenters, for example, saying the video says it is in room BC232, that means it's on the basement level, C ring, corridor 2. I worked on 4C278. There was no basement level on that ring and corridor. So again, even just the basic, does that room exist type of thing has not been was not seen by the hoaxers as being that important, because they knew no one would bother to even look up such basic details, right? Again, top to bottom, this is a hoax. It is phony. It is fake as a $3 bill. And the end result of this hoax is that it gives carte blanche to the fact checkers and the debunkers to do their thing and to actually be telling the truth for once when they debunk this nonsense. And oh yeah, by the way, just in case you're interested, Reuters, the good Reuters fact checkers came out 18 days ago with false claim video shows Bill Gates presenting vaccine for religious fundamentalists to Pentagon, where they reached out to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for a little quote from the foundation saying, no, that is not Bill Gates in the video. And you know what? They're right. They're telling the truth. That is not Bill Gates in the video. So again, passing this stuff along, this easily debunkable nonsense along as, here it is, this is it, guys, this is the golden jewels, we've got him on tape, we've got Bill Gates on tape saying he wants to vaccinate against religious fundamentalism, is, I hope quite evidently so, a gigantic and stupendously flawed strategy. Even if you know that this isn't real, but hey, they're probably working on something like this, so I'll send it along because other people might fall for it. That is not in any way anything I want anything to do with. I do not want to try to promote truth by spreading lies, and I would hope that the people who resonate with my work would not want that either. So once again, this gives a gigantic, wrapped in a bow Christmas present to all of the debunkers and fact-checker sites who can now say, look, everyone's teaming up on poor little Bill Gates now and spreading all of these lies and nonsense about Bill Gates, like this video, which they can then show is total nonsense, easily debunkable. They can debunk it 7 ways from Sunday. And guess what? Next time you try to send something to that friend that you sent this video, they're going to say, but you sent me that hoax video that was totally, utterly ludicrous nonsense. You sent me that. You're a gullible moron. You'll believe anything. And I won't trust anything that comes from you. So you discredit and undermine all of the real work about the real agendas by spreading this garbage. Now, here's the real point of this, because, again, the God gene is highly controversial, to say the least anyway, that it even exists, let alone that it can be vaccinated against and all of the things that are being steeped on top of this. But here's something that you can provide, in their own words, from the Gates themselves, to do with religiosity and their desire to take that out of the population.
What is it you'd most like to know about the world? But if you could know one thing about the future in the world, what would it be?
How in the world somebody resolved the religious anger. Somebody figure out a way so that people with serious religious convictions didn't think it made sense to go kill somebody else because they had different convictions.
Amen, if that's not a religious conviction. Thank you both.
All right.
Thank you.
You see, that is really, actually, verifiably, documentably, and uncontestably Bill Gates Sr. talking about his desire to get rid of religion from the human population. And yes, we can certainly speculate about various things that are going on in the skunk works of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation towards that end, and what the billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars that the foundation is using to direct global health, ways that they might be working on this or that. But again, that is the real stuff, and that is actually Bill Gates Sr. It's documentable, it's on the record. But it's not as sexy as having a secret CIA Pentagon briefing of, here's the vaccine we've got, guys, by someone who clearly is not Bill Gates. So that video that I just showed you will not go viral. You will not spread it to your friends. No one will get excited about it because, yeah, but that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways, and it's not the smoking gun proof. Yeah, it's not smoking gun proof of anything. But it is actually documentably talking about the Gates and what they are concerned with. So at any rate, again, there's reality in what we can actually prove versus this speculative nonsense based on easily debunkable forgeries and hoaxes that gets everyone's attention. And anyone who knows my work and knows what I do knows that I don't pass along that kind of debunkable hoax nonsense. And I hope you won't either, because once again, you do a great service to the fact checkers, who are, of course, there to serve the interests of those in power and those with wealth at all times. But you make their job easier when you mix in real information with crap like this video. So don't do it. Having said that, it is exceptionally important to talk about this new era of fact checkers and debunkers and all of this that is coming into view, that has already obviously arrived, but is definitely solidifying and taking form right now, because there is a great and grave danger to the free flow of information that is being presented by this phenomenon. And I will have a lot more to say on that in the near future. But in the meantime, let's not do their work for them and spread debunkable hoaxes. On that note, James Corbett, corbettreport.com.